I'm James Campbell, and we've been running private tours of Scotland since 2005. We're passionate about discovery, showing you places you might not find in the guidebooks, places that we love, where local people go, and we call this Local Flavours. Beside Canongate toll booth is Canongate Kirk. The church was founded in 1688 and completed in 1691. The economist Adam Smith is buried in the graveyard. Also buried here is David Rizzio, private secretary to Mary Queen of Scots. This statue outside Canongate Kirk is of Robert Fergusson. The poet was born here in Edinburgh in 1750. He is buried in Canongate churchyard, and it was the much loved and world famous poet Robert Burns who commissioned a headstone 13 years after the poet had been buried here in a pauper's grave. Robert Fergusson attended school in Edinburgh and Dundee and then moved on to St Andrews University. However, tragedy hit the family when his father died suddenly in 1768, so Fergusson had to leave his studies to seek employment. It was during this time that Fergusson entered the cultural life of the city of Edinburgh and in 1771 had his poems published in the Edinburgh Weekly magazine. It was the Edinburgh poet, publisher and bookseller Alan Ramsay who had started the fashion for satirical verse in broad Scots. Fergusson learned and surpassed his predecessor, establishing himself as an equally important influence on Robert Burns. Almost all of Ferguson's poems were produced in an immensely creative 2 years. The Daft Boys, published in the Weekly magazine in 1772, celebrated the New Year holidays in January with plenty of good food and good drink set against a cold climate. Life in Edinburgh in the 18th century was lively, dynamic, claustrophobic and vulgar. Ferguson's writing met with a ready audience. His observations struck a chord with the people of his native city. But the poet's appetite for late nights and heavy drinking soon began to take its toll. By 1773, Ferguson's life was falling into disarray due to his drinking habits and subsequent diseases. Failing health and the fear of death led to a reclusive life when he took to his room to read the Bible compulsively. Towards the end of 1774, he was taken from his mother's house against his will and lodged in the Edinburgh Bedlam, next to the poorhouse. Sadly, he died in a straw-littered cell within weeks. He was only 24. Who knows, if Robert Fergusson had lived longer, he and Robert Burns may have inspired each other. A kind of 18th century version of the Beach Boys and the Beatles. Have a peaceful browse around the Scottish Poetry Library. It is an award-winning modern building which blends in happily with its old town surroundings. Dunbar's Close Garden is a hidden gem. It's been laid out in the style and character of a 17th century garden. Grab a coffee and wander in for some reflective time on the Royal Mile. This is Queensberry House, former home of the second Duke of Queensberry. It was the target of an angry mob's fury at the time of the Treaty of Union in 1707. The Duke was paid over £12,000 in bribes. This bribe, and many others like it, saw the union of Scotland and England secured. Most common people didn't want a union. It was the landed gentry who took the bribes and benefited from the deal. It is ironic that it is today incorporated into the Scottish Parliament. When it first opened, this building was controversial. It went way over budget, and like any unique building, provoked a reaction. Personally, I love the building, and we highly recommend one of the free tours. There's a lot of history on the Royal Mile, and here we are at the bottom of the Scottish Parliament. It is in here where Scotland's future will be decided. Thank you for joining us on our walk around the Royal Mile. I hope we've introduced you to some different places. Join us again next time for more local flavours of Edinburgh, Scotland and beyond.